Good afternoon. I'm here with Jennifer. And Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, what you do?
I'm Jennifer Laughlin. I'm a medium psychic. I talk to people and try to help them make decisions or help them with questions that they have. So, and you?
I'm Stacie. I came for a reading at our local mall, just checking it out, and it was a large group, and
That was amazing.
yeah, it's like after hearing some of the people acknowledging and some of their stories, and that she was picking up on it, Jennifer, I was like, all right, she's the real thing. So I started, well, because you never know when you're out there, and it's like, all right, is this person just scamming me or not? And so then I've started to come see Jennifer, and it's kind of like almost a healing therapeutic session at times, because tell us a little bit more about how you have spirits come in to talk to you about individuals. Like you can give me a little thing if you had to.
Just going, pick me.
No, I just use me as a guinea pig.
So spirit does come in on a variety of ways. They come in to express. It's more of an expression of themselves at first, and they want me to relay information that is very pertinent to you or to the person that I'm with, and they come in very quietly sometimes because they don't want to upset the person that's here, even though you may say, I want this person to come through. It is still you're excited about it, but then you're apprehensive about it because you're hoping and praying that what does come through is true. So there is a balance. So they come in very quietly, or sometimes not so much, but they come in very quietly, and they want to make sure that you're ready to hear them at any particular time. So there's a balance of sincerity to that for both sides, because they want to make sure that you want them to come through, and it's not like a upsetting anger, because they're still healing.
And do they hold back letting the individual know if they know they're not ready? Like say if I'm not ready to hear something, do they withhold information until the time? Or
well, I haven't. I only relay what they give. Right. I know there's something more about it, and I know that from when spirit will take the back seat, or they'll move behind or closer to the wall, or however you want to talk about it, so that others will come through. So they want to make sure that person is ready to hear. And it does take a minute or two for humans, you and I, to adjust to that clarity.
Catch up.
Yeah. It is harder because the first thing is like you're in the reading, and then you're like, you're hearing what I'm saying, but I'm sometimes talking so fast that the processing for you,
it doesn't register fast enough.
Yes, it's
well, my last reading with you, I was expecting more of like maybe my grandfather or someone I was really close with, and you pulled in my mother's sister, my aunt, who I wasn't close with at all, to give me a specific message, which I was kind of really surprised about.
Yeah.
It was something I was not expecting. Like, ooh, why is she coming through? You always want the ones that you want close to you to come in,
Yeah. And part of that is because they have something that they felt that they weren't doing enough for you, knowing your situation or knowing what was going on around you, and they felt like they weren't being a part of that, or they weren't not protecting but guiding you through their thing.
Well, so or just ignoring, like maybe they got the information or they figured it out, but they just said, I don't want to get involved as a human. I don't know about spirits, but like, do they have those same kind of boundaries, spirits?
They sometimes do. They come through as energy, and then that energy connects with their human self memories and things like that.
So do they retain their personality?
Sometimes in order they'll come across as their personality, because they need to do that, because that's the only way that I can say to you, this is the person that's coming through and this is what's happening. But in the same thing, they will say to me if they're not ready, but I want them to know this. So I'll come in and I'll say a short little blurb about it, And then I go, I think I'm bringing somebody else in, because they'll come in, say something, and come back out again. Sometimes it's very quick sometimes. So, but it all comes up for a reason. And, I think for her, didn't want, she didn't want you to think that you were left alone.
I was.
I know.
I was.
And
So-
that's her, that's why she came through, is because she knew that. And she said, I could have done something about that. So for her on that side, that's part of her lesson. And for you, you said, oh, I'm moving on already. And so it's different. So you did part of her healing aspect for her. And she's still, however, she's dealing with it. She may have more to learn and less to learn.
So do they have rules that they have to follow? Because I know, have you heard of the law of one?
Yes.
So do they have to abide by these laws when they're in the spiritual realm as the humans have to?
Why don't you explain what the law of one is? So
everybody... well, I don't know totally, but the law of the one is regarding the universe and how everything has imbalance and, it's like the golden rule: do unto others as you want to do unto yourself. So if you don't want anything bad to happen to yourself, you don't do it to anyone else, kind of thing. And there's just certain rules of how to raise your vibrations, which we can talk about it, the awakening and ascension. And so the law of one is all balanced with that. So I wanted to know if they have to follow those rules of the law of one, because they don't have any, it's tied with reincarnation. So once they're in the spirit realm, how does that work? Do you know any of that?
It was good. You're on the right road. When spirit is on the other side, they have to, it's not that they have to, they're encouraged by others to follow a guideline or follow the unconditional love. And when you have unconditional love, you will not harm another individual. You will not cause difficulty to those that you're connecting with on the other side. It's almost like I would, that I would not cause harm to my family on the other side, even though I've had a past with them. But it's my job to have resolution for them. They have to have resolution for themselves of what they've done also. So coming through, they do have individuals that I'll help them with the unconditional part of things. There are some that don't quite get it quickly or learn it quick enough. So when they do come in, each person who does a reading has different guidelines, different ways of reading. I'm personally, cause no harm. This is for your highest and best, and my highest and best. And if you can't abide by that, you can sit here, but you can't do anything here because it's not part of the growth period. So that's the unconditional part of things.
So if a spirit is saying something that's not following those rules, do you actually not get past that along, basically?
I just say, like either why don't you go over there, or I will make a joke going, oh, they're just being what they were in the human side. I will recognize that behavior. I will bring it up, and then it's up to them to do, recognize that that's part of their journey of learning. Same as what we do here. So I guess I don't need the pen anymore. That fell off me. I fiddle a lot. Sorry. Yes, they do have to follow the guidelines of the person who they are being hosted. I'm hosting them to come in to read for you.
Well, because I'm kind of curious. You know how like they show in those cartoons where we have an angel on the side?
Yeah.
So are they affected by any of that on the spiritual side too? That or is it all that they're in all a good place?
Everybody starts at their own level. They come in depending on what you're all about. If you have caused a lot of harm to somebody, or just any of that, your vibration here on Earth is very low, and so you don't get to sit at the top rung if you're that low. So you start and you work your way up, and that's the great thing, because it starts to filter things out for you. Whereas if you walk in, it's different. But I don't know if I answered your question. I just
I was talking about the good angel.
The good angel, bad angel. There are times when siblings will come through. That's what.
So do they still have the
Yeah,
sibling rivalry? How they
it's
connect?
kind of like a jokey for me. It's more of a jokey kind of a thing. You know, I get the impression of them sitting on a chair with their legs slung over the thing and kind of looking over at me, and I go, ah, this person's like this, and they're laughing because that's who they are. And I said, what is this with a headlock? You know, what is this with a headlock? You know, and
Rubbing
they're,
head.
yeah, that's the noogie.
Yeah.
So
Do they do that in order for the person to understand
Yeah.
who it is? Okay.
Yeah. It's part of that might have been what they did to that person, you know.
So they do something they can relate with.
Yeah, very much so. But the good and the good and the good and the good bad, and you're always going to have that because that's who you are. It's not so much that there's, angels coming in and or spirits coming in and going, do this and do that. That's if you're going to be moved towards the positive side, then you're going to act that way. But if you're going to the other side or the darker side, then you're going to do that. And that's your journey to learn. It's really amazing.
So through maybe going to see a medium like you, part of someone's journey is forgiveness in order to raise their vibration. So how does that play in because this is sometimes it's therapeutic, and so sometimes maybe even going to see someone like you pushes them into seeing and then follows the forgiveness process so that they can get to because their awakening and their ascension part, and then that's the whole goal of this time that we're here on earth right now, right?
I think when somebody says to me, I feel like something big is going to happen, that means they're ready for huge changes in their life. Not like physical, but in their own.
So acceptance is part of it.
Is the very first part of it. Forgiveness comes when you go, we were all just what we were. We couldn't do any better, and we didn't know any better, and we didn't know any worse. We were there. How many times do you judge a river flow? When you're standing there looking at it, you don't say, oh, look, that water is covering that rock. You don't hold judgment to it, but we do that when the water's running over us. We hold judgment because we should have gotten out of the way or something along the line. Leaving things alone. I think hires our soul's ascension to life. Opens up a lot of doors, and you'll start seeing that the people around you are different than what you thought they were, but they're actually the same as what you're seeing them different.
Well, some evolve and some don't.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this awakening?
I think it's amazing because every day is an awakening. I think we're at a time period right now where the awakening part, and I don't mean awakening like an aha moment. I'm like, all of a sudden you're not placing judgment on anything, and you're in observation of that, and that's really hard for people to do. Not to hold counsel with it, but it doesn't matter if you hold counsel to it because it's going to happen anyway, right? It's just going to be. So your elevation and your awakening of going, aha, I can just be witness to it instead of a part of it.
What's all at play?
It really feels that way. It's a direction that the wind takes.
So there's a lot of terminologies and things being thrown out there as awakening, the ascension, the higher self, spiritual, and the 5D dimension.
Yeah.
So what do any of the spirits tell you about any of these terminologies?
We are moving quickly out of this dimension. Children that are born in this time frame are born with a greater knowledge, a greater understanding. They're already born with a technical, if you want to call it technical, abilities of knowing that we can travel from intuition, that we can travel from here to here without a whole lot of ado. And if they have that greater understanding, they know that they intuitively look at the mother and they look at the father, and they already know intuitively whether the parents are happy or sad. They can read their body language. They have an innate ability to know things that as children we were told, differently. But
the the technology
Huge.
is also trying to, the negative part is also trying to get the children to go on a lower vibration and stay on a lower vibration. How do we kind of avoid some of that? Because it is the way of the future. All these videos and, you know, TikTok, all of it is all. So how do you get them to teach them what right and wrong is, and to discern what's really happening
Mhm.
in the world and in their inner world and their and these videos and stuff, and keep them good, you know.
Um, the concept of since 2019, let's say 2020, there's been a lot of disassembly of the family dynamics, the safety dynamics, the intuitive dynamics, the awareness of another person dynamics. They literally
Respect.
have, in respect, they've taken that all away, so nothing connects with anything else. So they disassemble the children, and what we're experiencing now is this disassembledness of the children having a hard time functioning and doing everyday activities, or wanting to hang out or be a part of a community. They've taken the community out of the children. So now it's up to the reliance of a mother and father who have had that. They are trying to have the kids learn that, but the kids are being told in a greater volume: TV, schools, games, um, online. They're being told that to disassemble themselves, and it's an okay thing to do. So the problem is that the kids are struggling with this, not just belief systems, but they have a hard time believing in themselves. So there's going to be almost like a, not a void, but like almost like there's not this smooth roll. It's almost like the flat edge of something.
I find sometimes too that they're actually deep down a lot smarter than their peers. And
Yeah.
so because of that, they check out.
Mm-hmm.
And like my son kind of like, he's so creative in his own mind that, you know, he's
Mm-hmm.
way above them, and he pretends just to keep the peace.
Yep.
And because he's not allowed to be free to actually demonstrate or show that side of
Mm-hmm.
him. So I like that part. And I do like he went for many years, because we had just such an upheaval, no friends. So now he's got a nice little group of friends,
Yeah.
you know, real boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of like that they're a little bit geeky-ish, you know what I mean? So because then they explore more and they learn more on their
That's right.
own, and they are, you know, they actually go outside and, you know, and do things.
You're doing really
know?
well.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that was one thing that really concerned me for a while, because he was just strictly on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was concerning, because I mean, that was great fun when we were kids. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
getting to know each other, just
Mm-hmm.
all right, climbing a tree, or we would go bug hunting. So I had this
I
friend that just like,
know.
and I remember seeing this big web and this big black and yellow spider in the middle, and it has such a cool spider web, and we just kind of looked at it in awe. And those things are just, you know, like under
Yeah.
rocks and a lot of kids nowadays don't do that stuff. So when you see that, it's like, oh, I love that, because they're creative, they're experiencing. So
And they're reconnecting.
yeah.
You know, they're not believing what others are telling them, and they're copying, mimicking, aping you guys. They're the adults in the family. You're showing them how to be still a community and base. And those kids that are like your son are getting lost in a system and picked on because they're different.
He doesn't seem to mind. He just kind of
Yeah.
he just does his own
Yeah.
thing. I mean, with his own personal friends now, he'll snap back at them, you know. But
Oh, he
and
feels
I'm like, you
safe
shouldn't
then.
talk to him. He goes, well, that's just how we roll, Mom. But I
That's
like
so
that he
nice.
just kind of, you know, because he's just, I think deep down he's a really nice kid. So he just kind of wants to make everyone happy though. So he tries to joke a lot, which kind of gets in the way a little bit, I think. But
Do you find that you're more open as a parent? That
this
you have
time around, I am. My other three children, I was more. My father's Gestapo, so I tried to be more and more rigid. And this one, I really enjoyed being a mom this time around. So, I mean, I'm not always there, 24/7, but I like those little interactions that we have. And so we go roller skating now each week. So,
oh, that is nice.
He actually held my hand for a few minutes.
A little bit of that way.
So it was kind of cute. So it's just nice to be able to do something, even if it's a few minutes, but he's over there and he knows mom's here. So
I think it's very interesting that you see that in your son, and you're not directing him into a place where you think he needs to be. He's doing it himself, and he's very successful at doing it because he's expressive, and he's not afraid of doing that. There are a lot of children that aren't like that, though. So it's a directive, and it's okay to nudge, but it's not okay to direct. If the child goes off, off the trail, then you redirect. You know how to do that. But I think for the children that are coming into this world, it is a very difficult time for them at times because they're not meant to be disassembled. They're meant to come in as a community, and now their chore or their job here is to create that lifestyle.
Well, that's part of the whole awakening in such as unity. Is bringing us all back together. And so he naturally just kind of is relaxed. He's kind of relaxed, but he's bored at school is what he says. So, I don't want to do it's boring. I think we all were there. I remember checking out, looking out the window, going,
I know. Me too. I was always looking at the trees and the birds and everything else, thinking that there's life out there, and I'm sitting in here learning something. It's boring.
So
very difficult.
Can you kind of let us know a little bit from maybe the spirits how ascension works for people who are just now, what does that word mean? What am I feeling now? Where am I at in my world? Like, why all of a sudden I'm seeing something different, So
in the time frames, and again, they're talking about the body's time frame. The body time frame is saying, oh, I'm of this age, and I should be of that part, or I should be behaving this way. And as they're looking at now, as Spirit says, age is not even a requirement anymore. It's not, am I supposed to be doing this because I'm 50 or 60 or 70? No, it doesn't really matter because you're going to do it anyway. Like, there's no hold back. Where that is a progression of the physicality of ascension when you say, I'm doing this is what I'm doing right at this time, because it not only frees you from hearing the structure of what it used to be, but you're creating a structure of what you want it to be. So there's a break free. So that opens up that physicality where you can actually spiritually, whether you're into the religious aspect of things or spirituality, it gives you a greater appreciation and involvement. So you feel as though you're moving into the multiple dimensions very easily and quickly. So, and I talk about the ascension as being something that is moved into, not because Spirit says you're ready to do it, but it says this is the time you need to be doing it. I mean, you're saying this is the time I need to be doing that. So your spirit is also giving examples to other spirits on the other side that have never been human. You're showing them the capacity of the human soul and the human body, that it can work together. There are so many channelers out there that those that they channel are in awe of this. They want to be a part of it, but not on a full-time basis. They want to come in and experience it and feel what it feels like. Again, that's part of an ascension because you're learning from them and they're learning from you. So it also opens things up. You don't think the same as what you used to. You're broader than that.
One of the signs I believe that they said for these awakenings is one, like say if you watched a movie 10 years ago, absolutely loved it, and now you looking through different eyes and you're like, why did I find that so appealing?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't vibrate or frequency or whatever you're at, it doesn't feel the same because you've had accumulated of different experiences along the way since then.
Yeah.
So your knowledge is totally different. So
It's
I'm
awareness.
experiencing that, and as far as going out with some of my friends now, I noticed that I gravitate to more open and lively because I'm not worried about someone criticizing and looking at me. Sometimes I still a little bit, and then I go, nah, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Just be free and just do it. Like, so if you want to dance this way, dance that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have people sitting there looking at you, but it's like, get up and experience it too, instead of just criticizing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I get like, well, you're a grandmother. I'm like, so what?
It doesn't matter.
What?
Yeah. That's the ascension and the physical part of it. And that also is an ascension when you're in joy and happiness and just loving things, what you're doing. That is the ascension. That is moving yourself without worry, stress, or anything else. Like that.
So there's a path of self-discovery.
Oh, that's always happening. And I think it's wonderful because I think discovery is just not what physically you're limited to, but you realize that you're more mentally limited when you go, no, I can't do that, and then you let go of this and your body goes, let's just go. I think it's wonderful.
So I've just started recently trying other dances out and other back on roller skating. It was big when we were kids.
Yes.
And it was like one of the best times of our lives, So I told my son, I go, this is where you're going to meet a girl. Because that's usually what happens is you start engaging like that. So he's just like, oh, Mom.
I know. He's like, let's stop. I can't hold your hand anymore. Right?
So I always wonder. But he still comes up and hugs and cuddles with me. So I kind of like that. So
it's nice when they share of energy.
Yeah.
And he knows it's safe even before he starts going to hug you. He already knows that.
I'm open to it. I always felt very odd because my mother was very, standoffish, and my grandmother was the same way because that's what they were taught. They're English, and But my grandfather's English too, and we just hugged and loved him, and he just had an open heart to all. He loved all of us.
Yeah.
And so what a big contrast for each other, And so we grew up that, and I made a decision. I will not pass that on to my children. So I try and love them, hug them, whatever, but I still sometimes feel standoffish because I don't know if they want it, So I'm more as a they don't want it feeling than me, or it's the right time. So sometimes I was like, just do it. Just do it.
Just have fun. Just see what the reaction is like.
Well, I find one more loving than the other. I mean, but she's the one that's not as lovey. I mean, like huggy. She wants it though more, which is interesting. So
it's all about the not psychometry, but it's the texture of things. When you hug somebody and they hug you tight, and it's the way that they think that they're showing you affection, and you're like, that's just too aggressive.
I do that to my dog though.
Boom. You look at it and you go, wow, that's aggressive. But not aggressive as like mean or anything, but that's a really tight hold. But I think there's nothing wrong with hugging. I think that's a good energy share. It's a healing. It's huge healing.
Most of my friends now, we do that with each other. That's our greeting. Instead of just, hi, how are you doing? We'll give a hug. That's what I don't know. It just kind of started happening. I started doing it several years ago. So I don't know if it was a chain reaction or just other people started doing it too at the same time. Well, we kind of all do that now.
I think it's great. I think the way people are with each other, I think it needs to be expressed more. Again, the disassembling of the younger generation, there isn't a whole lot of that happening. Even though the parents are going, give me a hug, the kid's running down the street. That's okay.
Well, we grew up with the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
So those knit families and bring them together, that was unity.
But we also had Archie Bunker.
Yeah, but he actually told it how it was,
I
though.
know. I know.
And you can't play those things. Well, you can. They got on those
I
channels,
know.
but you couldn't put a program on mainstream like that anymore
Yeah, I know.
because it's
And
so
that's how we were
polarized.
that's how we were brought up.
Tell it like it is.
Yeah.
I liked it straight. I
Just
still do.
I like to know where I'm standing right now. And then so you grow up into that environment, and then when your kids you start having kids and you're like that, they're going, that's politically incorrect. Well, what does that mean? Like you have to research, what does it mean to be politically correct? That's when that's
I think that they've put too much emphasis on that, which has made it go the opposite. It's made everyone more sensitive instead of saying, "Hey, I believe in me. I'm good with me." Instead, they're like, "Oh my God, they're saying something bad about me. Oh my God, you can't say that to me because I'm going to fall apart." And that's not right. You want people strong, not weak. That's a weakness that you're instilling in someone. It's like, okay, I'm good with who I am. Say all you want. And isn't it we grow up with sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So why is it constantly hurting people now? It's a mindset. And I think that it's a wrong path to be down. It's just like, you know what, believe what you want, but I know who I am,
We don't have to do the dance anymore. We don't have to be anything other than who we are. I mean, at an age of where I was like, this is who I am. Once you grow up into that environment when you're growing as a kid, it instills in you self-preservation, survival, how to live with and without things, and what's
how to make it out in the real world.
That's right.
That's what we were taught.
And nobody took me to my first job interview and told me what to do.
Oh my God, how scary that
I
was.
know. I know. It's only a department store, and then you think it's the most important job ever.
Me too. I was like, oh.
And they go, every penny should be accounted for, and I'm like, it's better, but again, it's where you are taught that you can't make mistakes and you can't learn, that if you did, there was a harsh punishment to that or an embarrassment to that. And now it's more like, well, let me take care of you, let me hold you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also a balance between the way we were raised and the way they're being raised this year in this time frame.
I like that. I like knowing that the expectations are, no, this needs to be balanced. I mean, but I also like that you made a mistake. Let's fix it.
Yeah, together.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's what I feel like a balance should be. Not like, okay, you're a penny off, get out of here, or, oh, dearie, honey, that's okay if you pocket some of the money.
I'm like, wow, what is but I think kids nowadays need a lot more knowing how to plan their days. And I don't mean that in a way of, anything bad about people that are being raised now, but it gives a guideline of them as to their self-knowing of what is right and what is, good for them, not what's I'm gonna change so I can fit your narrative. And then kids are so there are many out there that are doing phenomenal, but there are others that are just stuck in the system kind of a thing. So they're like, it's okay if I'm gonna beat you up, or it's okay if I'm talking bad to you, or it's okay to cause harm. And I think that's a lot of what's going on with the environment now. But there is,
I think there's a lot of people that are just so negative right now, and it's really hard to break through that negativeness.
Yeah,
because they don't know any other way.
Yeah, well,
or they want to be just like the Joneses, and I don't want to be out with the Joneses, so I'm gonna follow what the Joneses are doing.
Oh, like I said last time, I said, I was with a bunch of guys that were talking about the milk, bread, and eggs, and again they brought it up this week, and I said, buy a chicken.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Just buy a chicken. That's all I'm saying. You want to complain? I don't want to hear about it. Buy a chicken. But it's how they're approaching it. Like they're going, there people are coming up against things. The kids that are being born now are super sensitive to comments, feelings, you know, some people don't even want to, some of the kids don't even want to go to school. They don't want to be near people because of that sensitivity that they're coming in more knowing now on a spiritual level than they've ever come in. And it's big. It's not like, oh, hey, we've got maybe one child over here that's very super sensitive to see ghosts or whatever you want to call them. But if they're very hypersensitive to a lot of things. They're sensitive to food. They're sensitive. Their body is just sensitive, and they are sensitive. So I say, you know, like their awareness is much greater than ours was ever. So I'm hoping that they're knowing or understanding our way of doing things here. And I think, and I, what they're telling me is that we have come from other beings, and yes, our DNA has been taken from us, and some have been giving it willingly, which has been created to achieve child. You know, they're also doing the embryos, and they're also creating these children that are half human and half not. You know, and they're super sensitive to things, and so we're sharing DNA, we're sharing structure of our physical being. Again, you know, is that bad or good? It's the way it's coming.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true because none of this is, I don't know for
Right.
absolute, but I dig and travel and all that stuff. That I believe it was the Greys. They said or that came from the future back because they messed up their DNA and they needed to fix and repopulate because way in the future that's what's happening and they're dying.
Mm-hmm. And the government is well aware of what's going on. I mean, I'm not saying the government like, oh, we should charge the walls and things like that. I'm just saying that each place in the in the world, each place that is here, they are in creation of a higher intelligence, a higher uh, knowing or vibrational setting of beings. And
Well, I hear that they actually work with some of them.
yeah,
So.
it's not uncommon. It's really not uncommon. I met this young girl in Salem, Massachusetts. A friend of mine was doing a reading for her, and this girl, she was 12, I think she was, and she'd already written a couple of books. She'd already, you know, produced whatever. She was highly intelligent, and I'm looking at this as either this girl's a genius or she's very highly elevated. And so I said, "You're really, you know, you're really highly intuitive." And she goes, "More than you think." So I'm our, you know, like, and again, she talks like she's very, you know, not intelligent sounding. I shouldn't say that, but she has a knowing, and that's the vibration that I got from her. Not that I know anything about that, but
So you couldn't.
I know she
You
was.
didn't have anyone
she was,
around her knowing.
She was very different. And when my friend got done with the reading, she turned around and she goes, "Oh my goodness!" And I said, "I know, I know." She's a very strong vibrational being, and I've met people that are healers. I've met people that remove your burden of trouble from you. I know that sounds kind of out there and
Psychically, because
whatever.
there's of course there was Dolores Cannon, and then there's this Alba Weinman. She's a hypnotherapist, and so she'll help people heal that way. Same with Dolores Cannon did by
Mhm.
putting them under hypnosis and going to their higher
Well,
self.
this woman came to me for a reading, and she said, "I want to." You know, I started doing the reading, and she goes, "Yep, yep, yep." And there was something, and all I can think of is the way her eyes were, and I was kind of mesmerized by it because it seemed to have, I don't know, all I can think of is sparkles, and I know that sounds weird. So I said, and then I looked at her and I said, you are unlike anybody I've met." And she goes, "Well, it's about time you figured that out." And I started to laugh. But she was like, do you know what I do? And I said, no. She goes, I remove your pain. And I said, so I pulled my hands back, and she goes, let me hold your hands. I pulled my hands back, and I said, that's the pain that I've chosen to carry. And she goes, so anyway, so afterwards we got done talking, and she would get out, and she goes, just give me a hug. And I literally felt like pounds lighter when she got done. And it wasn't something that I wanted to do. So you took something from me that I didn't want you to have. I said, there's a part of me that appreciates it, but there's another part. And she goes, you'll have that filled in no time.
Oh, great.
And I was like, really? Not from my own doing, but carrying the weight of others.
Right.
So we do carry the weight of others.
So, well, I guess that's a gift that she gave you, because you got
Yeah.
a temporary. Because don't
I will
you?
remember her forever.
Is she local from here?
No,
Somewhere
no.
else?
She was from, yeah. She was from, it was another person that I met in Salem,
Oh, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. I was
We should
doing
go
readings
together.
there.
I like going there. So no, I was gonna say, so with that lady, don't you absorb people's,
You do.
and you have to kind of cleanse yourself. So maybe that's kind of what she was doing by releasing.
Sometimes you take on, and it's not intentional, but you take on a person's troubles because you understand it, you can relate to it, and you can relate to it because you're relating to it to the person that's on the other side, as well as the physicality of the person in front of you. So there's a relation, a correlation. You take it on, and you think, okay, cleanse, cleanse, clear, 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 and you do all of that, and it's something that kind of sticks in your mind
Lingers.
a little bit.
Because
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. When I have an interaction and I know that it was not maybe a good one, or even if like I may have caused someone pain or issue, it plays in my mind. So I can only imagine what you go through, seeing that from two different sides, and if it resonates, like on a bad movie too, or a movie, and just a movie in general, whether it's good or bad, there's some sliver that stays with me for a few days.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll pop back in.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like that? Or?
It is. It's a it's I think for me it stays there to remind me of people, that there is pain, and pain is losing somebody who either quickly passed or not. I mean, the death of somebody is, the grief is incredible when you feel it. When you feel it in its depth, it's incredible. And then you have people who are worried that if they don't want to die until they've made peace with everything, but they've caused such troubles, and that's a different type of pain. So there's the pain of somebody who wants to get pregnant and can't. I mean, the loss that person feels every month. So they go through that whole process of grief and whatnot.
Well, I think it was Dolores Cannon. So I really enjoy her. She's so cute. To say some of them are that come through and they don't realize it, but they're not meant to have children because they didn't want to bring back or carry on. And I'm escaping me the word. So you probably know what I'm trying to say. When you've carried so many burdens and stuff, I can't even remember the word now. Sorry, it's leaving me. But regress, you have regression, and so you have to go do it over and over and over again. So these ones that come through were not supposed to have children because they're not to carry that on. That's what I'm looking for. I can't remember it. It's eluding me. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think? I'm a medium?
Yeah.
I can't read your mind.
No, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's not the aggression. It's why you have to keep coming back.
Well, it is a regret that, or there is, you have your past life and you have your journeys that you're going through, and you can choose to carry it on. There are people that have chosen not to have children, or they've decided, or even though they want children, they can't have them, but they've chosen to still carry that pain of not having children, or or they may have caused harm, or the children may have died in other lifetimes very quickly, very early
Karma.
age.
So sorry.
Oh,
It's like that's one of those brain fog things. It's like, it'll come to me. It's going around the world. It's coming. Karma. That's what they don't. They don't want to bring back because there was. She said that there was a call that went out to all,
yeah.
to all the Earth is in trouble and it needs help. And so, but there were people that came. There were spirits that didn't want to come back with karma, so they chose not to have children.
Right.
But they don't remember when they're born. That's their duty. That they made that.
But their instinct, their soul instinct, is to have children. But again, they also
on this earth. That's
Yeah.
that was our duty.
propaganda. Yeah.
Well, because it's
propagate, yeah.
like populate the earth. Is what God said. Be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
So that was pushed on us, brother. So of course those,
Well, and I think too that there's a lot of pain in that when they know that they're not going to have children and they've designed it that way, yet their desire is to have children, they can't have it, so it causes pain. So they're always going to be living in that lack.
well, I think they get caught up in the human
Well,
world,
yeah.
like love, hate, and the joy of children. They didn't know of that experience before. Now they're seeing other people. So I think that's what kind of brings in that.
Well, humans are very intense people. They either really love or they really, don't love. I mean, sometimes it's hard for somebody to go to the middle road. You look at the you look at what the people are talking about in the political arena. I mean, if you're going to complain about it, then change it. But they don't. They have to voice their opinion so that other people can go and do that. Whereas a person who comes in and makes that decision not to have children, they grieve in silence. Whereas you have other people, like, instead of helping that grieving person or taking that journey along with that person, regardless of what it is, and they know they're here to help the world or help the humans out, but they also, there's a compassion that needs to go with that, and
But
there's
there's
an
also a lot of
intensity.
souls that they could help that are in orphanages.
Lots of things.
So, but they want it a specific way,
Mhm.
and so there are other ways to
Intensity.
solve the.
Well, I think there is, but I also think, choosing your direction of life is always changing anyway.
Yeah,
You're
that's
never
why
the same.
this whole transgender thing has got me so concerned because people, when they finally have a little light bulb goes on, and you've eliminated being whatever you were,
Hmm.
that whole comes crashing down, and it's just I just feel so bad that it's going to really hurt them, and it's life changing.
Oh, you come from an area before you're born where there's no male or female. There's no religion. There's just, you know, it's just love, unconditional, and there's even unconditional love for those who cause pain for other people, and there's a lot of people there to help people. I mean, souls that are helping, and then you come into a world of that, and you have memory of that. You're looking at it, going, "Where do I go with that?" Or who can help me understand this a little bit better? And so we have these differences that happen in our world, and then we move on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and that's what we've been doing since 2020, as we've just been plodding forward. We had lots of riots, then we had the COVID, the riots, the just everything, then
Oh,
prices.
we got some good things though.
Oh, good.
Because it's like 7 signs of your spiritual awakening. Do you know any of them?
7 kinds of my spiritual awakening. Is that the Kundalini?
You no longer feel separated.
Oh, okay. I
So
like that one.
from the universe, it says to
Yeah, we
you
live as
realize
one.
that everything is interconnected,
Yes,
and
we
so
are one.
and you are one with the divine.
Yeah.
So once that happens, I think people are more secure with not feeling. That's why I said, like, you say what you want, I don't care, because I know that we are, in the end, we're all one.
Absolutely.
So That's number one sign.
Yay.
And then we have another one. Your intuition guides you without doubt. So your intuition's like, I have no doubt about what's going on.
Yeah.
So no longer second guessing yourself. So that's a second sign.
Human doubts, intuition doesn't. Very.
Yep. And then so
Yeah.
the third is material desires no longer control you.
That's right.
And you understand fame and possession don't define your worth.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So, and so sign 4 is you have embraced solitude, inner peace. You no longer seek external validation because you are whole within yourself. So if anyone's experiencing these,
that's moving. That's ascension.
yeah. So that's the spiritual awaken. So you're moving on.
Yep.
5, you naturally attract people who need your light, your energy, and magnetic, and people are drawn to your wisdom. That's why I'm here with you.
Thank you. Well, I think people are drawn for growth. They're not drawn.
I like
for any-
openness. I like
Yeah.
that I can discuss anything with you, and
Yeah.
I feel absolutely no negative at it at all.
Yeah.
And it's freeing. Like it's just I can talk about
Yeah.
anything and not have to worry.
Yeah. Same. Just blot it out, and wherever it falls, whether it's rain or a cement brick, you know.
And I don't ever feel like it's a wrong question or anything wrong.
No.
Because wrong always feels like it's a negative thing. It's like, well, that may be you, but this is my experience. So, and then we kind of mesh. So that's like kind of like.
I think it's you're a giver and I'm a giver, and there's a lot of givers out there that, really wish I could do something for you, and there's nothing. You've already done it.
So that's the thing. Is the next one is 6.
Oh,
You can see through deception, illusions,
yes.
and you recognize hidden agendas
Yes,
and manipulation and false realities for what they are.
Very.
So you can call it. That's what I like. I like that.
Very.
I do. I call it like it is. But I still sometimes now, I know that person's not open for it, and no matter what you say or do, they're still going because they're not ready to hear it. So, you know what? I don't waste my energy anymore on that. And then when they're ready, I'm here for you.
You can, whether it's family, friends, or whoever, there's always a place where you can plant a seed and say, I'm here for you. But they don't know how to hear that you're there for them. So that's okay. I mean, there will come a time,
when they actually go get any of these, they're actually going to instinctively seek you out.
Yeah, it's good. So. I mean, I think it took me a long time to get to where I'm at now. Meaning in acceptance and things. I know I don't have to be what somebody wants me to be. I'm just, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be open, and I'm going to be, okay, this is what it is. And then it's okay.
Let the chips fall. 7. You feel a strong call to step into your mission.
There you go. I think I fell in the hole.
You no longer ignore your divine purpose.
Yeah.
You feel a deep urge to take action. So that's how those are the 7 signs of spiritual awakening.
It's amazing. I have friends, and whenever spirit comes in, which is a lot. I mean, they show up before I get there.
How many here now?
I knew it now. I knew it. So let's say, well, and I will say this every time, because when you come, your son shows up a lot.
Oh no, I wasn't really talking.
No, I'm serious about it. Like every time he comes in a lot. So I don't think of him as being something that, that all of a sudden there's a spirit here, woohoo. And that's why I was telling you much earlier that I was getting really warm in here. I feel scattered. I feel a lot of just, like I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not going to touch any electrical thing because I know something is going to go wrong. And I got that feeling of sit down. And so like right now I'm getting very, very hot because he is talking, like he is here, and he just wants you to know that he's here. It's not like
Aw.
he's like,
Hi, honey.
it's not like I want, like I need her acceptance or I need her to
I really
know.
wish I could see it myself.
Yeah. Well, it sometimes he prefers, like, it's a knowing, like he's giving me a lot of warmth in through across the chest and across the back in the same area. So I'm feeling like, wow, this is getting really hot, but that's his way of coming through. That's how we know he's
It's
here.
getting hot in here.
Getting hot. That's it. That's our thing. He's got his tunes on his bike, kind of thing.
So what happens to me? I thought it was hot flash.
Well, and that's part of what you have when you're thinking about somebody. Why are you thinking about it? You just go, oh, I'm thinking about that, and then understand your body. Now, if you weren't hot earlier, like 2 minutes ago, and you are now, that's a big change. So they're going, pay attention, pay attention. You're not paying attention. Okay, I'm going to change you. I'm going to change your body, and it's fun and it's okay and there's nothing wrong with it. But so anyway, so my friends know that when I go and hang out with them, that I'm just going to say whatever
Awesome.
they come through to say, and they're always saying, no, you don't have to do that, which means it closes the door for the spirit, because when the spirit comes in and says, tell them I'm here, I'm going to go, okay, here it is. And then somebody goes, no, you don't have to do that. I don't want you to feel like you have to do that. And I go, they just laughed but they wanted to connect with you, even if it was for a minute. So it comes and goes. So if you shut the door and you go,
well, my door's always open.
I know.
but like your friends, I wouldn't want you to go out of your.
But it doesn't.
Except.
But there's no going out of my way. They're here. So it would be like if somebody knocked on the door and opened the door, and I'd go, yeah, we'd say, come on in. That's the thing. Yeah. So it occurs. I'm not asking to come in. You're always an invitation of them to come in, because they know by your settings of where your heart is to come and go. I went to not a hardware store, like a Walgreens, right? And so the woman behind the counter, and I went to pay for whatever I had, and she was, her husband stood up, right? And I was like, do I say anything or do I not say anything? And I said, how's it going? She goes, oh, okay. She goes, I'm thinking about retiring. I said, great. I think you should, but I don't think you're going to retire full time. Like, it's going to be a part-time thing. So she goes, yeah. She goes, yeah. She goes, I'm kind of missing my husband, and her husband leans forward even more, going, like,
can you win?
So I did. I said, and then she looked at me. She goes, oh, you're that lady. And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh. And then I said, well, let me tell you a couple of things about what's going on here. So I talked to her about it, and I don't like leaving people crying, but what happens. And she's, talked to her for a few minutes. There was nobody waiting there, and she was very grateful for whatever was said. She goes, I will hold this dear for the day, for the whole day. It'll help me get through the day, because her husband had passed around this time frame. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, other than that, he'd pop in and he'd go, just tell her I'm here, see you, bye, and he'd walk off. But those things, when you come in, and then I did another one later on in that morning, and then I did another one in that afternoon, and it wasn't all planned. It was all just people that I'd met, for the whole day. Does that bother me? No, it just gets them out of my head.
Oh, okay.
It moves them on to like their place.
It's like me, that lingering thing, like, oh, I gotta get this done, and it's just like, and you keep thinking about it. All right, just do it now, so get it over with.
It's on the honey-do list.
Yeah.
I go, I got to talk to you. Okay, got it. But who's Alice, by the way?
Allison?
Hey, Alice.
Allison, you mean?
Oh.
Is it her?
Somebody's coming in with almost like a stroke feeling or an embolism.
We had my dad says was Elaine.
Okay. But, and so she's giving me the brain. Something went on with the brain that
maybe I don't remember. Maybe she did have. I don't remember.
Well, I don't know if she's got Alzheimer's dementia. She just went into like almost like a strokey feeling or an embolism or something going out. She's just giving me the sense of the brain exploding with something in it. So that just,
I hope it's not my friend Alice, our friend Allison, because she's got brain tumor, the one that you had a reading with.
Well, that's what I'm, and this person has two names. It's almost I always use this word Anne Marie, but it's like a double name. It's this and this, this and this.
Well,
And
that's not Alice's real name. That's why I don't know.
okay, because it's like a double name. But anyway, so I just gonna that just
This is
this
someone's
woman
past?
popped. She popped in and she was just like she just gave me some issues with my head.
Well, what does she need me to know?
Oh, she's just saying I'm
Hi.
here. I didn't. She's going into the Alice thing, and I'm like,
What if she's related to?
I
Wanted
don't know.
Allison to know the.
I don't know. I don't know. Just gives me
Because I don't think I had anyone Alice in my family tree, but Elaine, my dad's sister.
it's pretty close to Alice. Pretty sorry, that's what they're telling me. It's pretty close
There's
to
a song,
Alice.
"Who the blah 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 is Alice."
Oh really?
It's
I
kind
don't
of
know that one.
I'll have to play it for you.
But yeah, so no, they're just talking about that, and so they come and go, and
I always wanted my grandfather to come, so he was my favorite. But of course, the one
who's George?
his brother was a George.
George is his brother, your grandfather's brother, and he's passed, correct? Okay.
Yeah, I think they're all past my grandfather's brothers.
Yeah.
They were all in World War II.
And they're all not gruffy, but they're kind of like
No, my
who they
grandpa,
are.
my grandfather was a very solid, funny.
Just kind of like
He would strut his stuff.
You know.
He was a good-looking man too in his day.
yeah. But is he the one that wore the hat or the crease in the hat?
Well, he wore a hat a lot,
Okay.
more like. Well, he ball cap sometimes, but then he used to have the French-looking ones, the Scottish.
Yeah, and it comes around with the rim on the.
Yeah.
I mean, not the fedora. It's not the fedora. What do they call
Like a
it?
beret or something.
Yeah.
That's what he used to wear.
With a little snap in the front, kind of feeling. Okay. Yeah.
He had glasses. He was a hot ticket.
And he's very mindful. He's definitely a family protector, and it's very irritated, and he just doesn't want to put up with anybody's thing. Why is he mad at your father? Is that his son?
No, he never liked my dad.
Oh God, he's mad. Not now, but he's like, didn't like him.
Absolutely
I'm mad,
not.
like mad. Like
Since the day that my mother married my father on purpose to get to my grandfather.
Yeah, that was not a good move.
Nope.
In the long, well, you came out of it, so it was a good thing.
Oh yeah, but she says that
she goes,
I shouldn't have been a mom because it was really a rough. Yeah,
issues.
It was a rough. My dad was always jealous. Wanted.
Yeah,
and
not pretty, but there were lessons that were required to be learned that you learned very quickly through other situations that you've been through in your life, and they've always been abrupt. And so he said, well, again, you're very hard-headed. Everybody knows you can be stubborn, and this is the way you're going to do things. You know that, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, he's saying that she chose this, and he said, and I've been with her ever since.
Yeah, he was my special.
Yeah, he said I've been there ever since, because he said she needs a little bit of more fine tuning. She's going to find that she's going to need a lot more tweaking to her destiny, and not to put up with a whole lot of other stuff from everybody.
So my favorite story of him, so just to get to know how he was a little bit of a wild thing at times.
What's his swimming and naked?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you do that?
I could have. We all went skinny dipping in our day.
Not me. Are you kidding? No. I don't think so.
We did that.
Maybe me. Yeah. When I was older.
Whoa.
Way old. Not that old.
No, we're like,
not this
we're
old.
Teenagers,
Oh yeah, I never did it then.
Oh, we had some fun times, me and my friends. But no, my favorite story about him, because I love it. He's like an Englishman, right? Though, but it was a little bit of a wild thing. So he says, "Now listen, girl, you can marry a rich man as much as you can a poor man. So make sure I was rich." So the little shit that I was, look at him and go, Grampy, were you rich when you married Grammy? He just smiled at me. And he goes, he said, no, but she got lucky. So that's the character he was. And we all in the
that's
family.
a gem.
Oh my God,
That's a gem.
We all get around sometimes with my brothers and sisters. We all and we just make fun of some of the things that he used to say, stuff like that. It was just so funny.
I like that.
Yeah, he was so that's I had gems in my family because of that.
Yeah.
So I learned what the good and the bad was, and of course I chose good because my meme was absolutely beautiful, like so loving and caring to anybody that came in her sphere. It didn't matter who you were. So I loved that. And then his spirit was like, yeah, let's a little bit of a like wild streak, but still he was very civil-headed. I mean, he built schools and stuff for, like a Franklin School in New Hampshire. Him and his brother, they built all kinds of stuff. So he was very business-wise. And but then when it was time to play, it was good time. We play, So and he always entertained people. So I saw that, and I was like, he had a good balance, I think,
Yeah.
So I did have some good stuff. And my father, yes, he absolutely didn't like my dad because my dad was very, well, my dad. You've done a reading and he came in.
There was nothing to like, he said.
Yeah, he was very, he's abusive. All the way around, especially to me, it was very abusive too, physically. So, and we've had interactions so the trauma, a lot of trauma comes from that whole situation. I mean, my mom escaped through the night with us children up to my grandfather's, and so it was a big, big scene. My father, it was an hour away. My father figured out where we were and came pulling us out. It was scary.
He did pull you out? No.
Well, not that night.
So, figuring somebody would have had a shotgun by the door.
No, he was arrested. They arrested him for showing up.
Okay, good for him.
So the next morning, he came and grabbed us. So it's I have had so much trauma, and he was the center of a lot of it. So that's why grandfather he just didn't like.
And your dad's passed?
I always thought my dad hated me because he was so mean and cruel.
I'm not saying that it just gives me the sense of his unknowing.
He didn't know what he was doing.
He had not a rage, but he had this thing that would spark in his body. And he gives me the impression of like explosive and then da 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 da. And it was almost like firing off a machine gun kind of thing. Da 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 da. And then all of a sudden he's done.
Yes.
And then he stews. And then he, gets up and, again, it's almost like you never know what you're walking through the door from.
That's what I was always afraid of. But then at some point in my life, because we all interacted as children like that. And I had that explosiveness. But after that, the minute it's done, I'm just at zero, no matter what. Never held on to anything. So, but I have, the older I've gotten, and I'm better about it. But I still have those moments where I just 0 to 20, because it's like you're pissing me off on purpose, And so, but I try and come back and say, I look at it and I'm like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I've apologized always to my kids when I go into that phase, and I was like, but that's from my upbringing. We were all,
I was going to ask you,
all like that, and the younger ones are still way worse like that than we were, and they weren't even exposed to him as much as we were. But that's what we were taught how to.
It's a sensitivity of those kids growing up.
Yeah, well, they became they
took another path on that and the direction
that
they did.
And by becoming aware of it, I'm able to stop it as much, because we always just call it the French temper. Probably heard of
French.
Yeah, because I was a Frenchman.
Yeah.
So, and my grandfather said, hey, wasn't long before I accepted Frenchman. So
yeah.
So I had that good and bad situation in my life. I had a lot more bad, but those are the lights in the tunnels that I focused on. Like, I wanted to be like my meme. I want to love all people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I mean, it's not funny, haha. It's kind of had a conversation with somebody this week about being French. My mother's soul was 100% French, and my father was Irish, so there was quite a mixture going on there. But
it's actually quite common though,
yeah, I know,
especially in
and
Canada.
and I didn't realize how much went on in the French family in one aspect, and then on the other aspect of it, you have the Irish, which are drinkers, and so it I was thinking, when you were talking about the French people, I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, they're amazing people, and they stand up for what they believe in. They're like this, and this is the way you need to be doing it, and yet, sometimes they can be very cold in it. I know my mother's mother was very
My dad
cold,
was to us,
very cold.
except to my sister Renee.
Look at you and settling on that one.
It was me. There was something about me he just didn't like.
I I get that you're
Because I'm stubborn.
addressing things like standing up for or planting your feet is what I'm seeing, like the planting of the feet and leaning forward instead of sitting down with your soles of your feet up, because when you sit with your soles, that means that you're very, you're exposing self, because
I took a stand. I don't want to be treated like that. I see what good is.
He didn't like that,
and I just did not. That was it. I didn't believe in that, what he was doing to me.
Well, he's all about judgment for himself. Like, he feels judged by anybody. And so when you questioned, he was like, oh, is she questioning my
authority?
My being? And I think that that's very threatening for somebody like that was raised like that.
But my meme said, oh, she went at him one time. She said, I didn't raise, because he was abusing me, and she flipped out on him. She goes, I didn't raise you to be that way. No. You do not treat anybody like that.
But he was very about self. So, they're going into the mental illness kind of a thing where he went into the self-medication.
That's what I think he was doing. He had an alcoholism problem.
So self-medication. But anyway, but his direction was that he did not want to be questioned for any particular reason. And he's also, I'm going to get back at you, because he gives me the sense of like I'm going to remember this.
Oh, yes.
And ever. And I'm going to make sure what goes around comes around. Come on. No. Yeah. But that's his thing. But again, when he passed, he was not very comfortable with the passing, looking at himself.
I told him one time that, because when my parents split and I had to go to the house and I was in his presence, and he actually hugged me and I couldn't feel it. I was searching through my database because all I had felt was anger and ugliness about this man. He hated me, it felt like. So I'm like, well, how do I react to this? I couldn't figure it out, how to react to a touch from him, because it was always a negative, as his spank or something.
And you think about it, that he's thinking at that time when he's like, well, maybe this will help us turn the corner. Like, everything's erased because he's giving you a hug. And it doesn't get erased like that.
No.
Hangs on for a while.
No, and none of the family really knew what I was going through. Maybe my brother and my sister, my sister Renee, kind of overlooked it, because she was his. There was something about Renee that he just really connected with.
She knew how to sweet talk him, and you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
You're like, no, that's not the world is circle. It's not square. And he's going, but it is square. And you're like, no, it's a circle. And, you both had some similarities to that, for your brain to understand the concept of the circle versus the square. And he
was actually, in his way, though, a smart man.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
He could put a card together just like that, and no one taught him how to do it. He just knew And so I was kind of proud of him that way because he just figured things, and that's, I think I
You
got
knew
that
it.
from
Yeah, I
him.
was gonna say you knew too. So you're similar in that.
Instinctively, he just
Yeah.
knew what to do.
You do too.
Yeah.
You set
So-
this thing home up over time.
So that's the thing about him that has like was a conundrum or something, whatever. I just couldn't figure him out why he had to be so mean.
There is no reason other than the fact that you asked him to be a part of your world before you came into the world. And he
Yeah,
said,
I'm like,
yeah.
why did I
But then,
choose this?
but then you said, I just want you to treat me poorly this much. And he did it this much. So he's going to be responsible for this much, and you're going to be responsible for this much. You know, when you cross over, you're like, you know, there was no way that you could get away from him. There was no way of getting out of his reach in a way. So
I
he
was
took
so
it.
terrified of him.
He took it a little bit further than what he should be.
I hid in the closet
Yeah.
sometimes and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so scared. And for years after, I was so terrified he was going to come to the door and beat me. I was so scared all the time.
Well, you know, but that's his thing, and again, that's his processing that he's going to process from the other side.
But what's this little part I have to take care
Well,
of?
sometimes we like to learn a lot very
Uh-huh.
quickly. So it's almost like taking small slices from a cake or something. Like you're taking the small pieces of this and this and this and this, and you're tasting like the chocolate, the banana, the from different cakes, right, or pies or whatever. And what happens is when you start sampling all of that, you know, it sometimes it can be pleasurable or not. Well, those of us who want a very quick lesson about everything under the sun decide we can take some of the things we didn't learn from our past and put it into this lifetime and add a little extra couple stuff going on. So we have to break that soul contract for that. We have to understand that we did invite this and we did invite that role, but not to the extent that it did. He decided to be or you decided to be learning together so that you could help him decide when to stop or enough was enough. And you said enough was enough when you were very young, and he didn't. He kept going. So the unfortunate part is that you felt held prisoner to this whole thing. And so part of your lesson was what it was it like to be a prisoner? What was it like to be your choices and decisions being removed from you? What was it like to experience pain, fear, and love and not love? And I mean love under his terms. And what did it feel like to enjoy a meal while he was present and to enjoy a meal without him present?
Whoa, we weren't even allowed when the company came. We weren't even allowed to be in the same room.
So you experienced all this compact information in one person, but you were also betrayed, or you were also overlooked, or your other family members did not help you out of that situation either. So, you know, they do see what they lacked in,
But I didn't hold any of them at all.
but they hold themselves that. So like I can say, you know, I could have been a better friend to you and said, instead of you living there, why don't you move in with me until you get yourself situated and then we can move you out to somewhere else. But I didn't. And
Oh,
you
there were
stayed in
family
that.
members that did do that.
Yeah.
Well, and when he died, my mom abandoned us for a while.
Mhm.
That's a long story.
Yeah.
But I had nowhere to live, and I went to family members, and none of them would take a hit. Because it was all of us, kind of, you know.
Yep.
The younger brothers and our younger brother and sister went with my mom, but the three eldest, we had nowhere to go. Two of them had actually a place. They went with one set of the family, but I had nowhere.
Mhm.
And I went to a couple of them, and I was denied, which was so amazing. And my meme saw that, and she was extremely angry. You come with me.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
she told me this really cute story. I'll share with you. It's like I love. It's just her personality. She's so cute. So we lived where it had a joining apartment back then, and my mom didn't drive. So they went to the grocery store. My mom and my dad's. My meme was to watch me. my mother gave her strict orders to leave me in the crib. She goes, I would watch the car go by, out of the driving, and she goes, and then I'd run and go pick you up and hug you, and then this is story, she hug you and kiss you and rock you, and then she, the car's coming, I'd have to run and put you back, and you'd be crying and crying.
Oh, no.
And she goes, but now I've got you. So that made me feel so good inside. It's like, oh, my Mimi loved me.
It's such a story because you lived in unwanted or neglect.
But she did. I
and
love
she just,
her.
She comes through in this whole, like, I want you to know what the love feels like.
And that's what I got from her. So that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I got
so
love, and I
wonderful.
got. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit.
No, you're fine.
I witnessed and experienced true love from my meme,
Mhm.
and I watched her how she interacted with her husband and stuff, and I lived with that for a while, and it was cute. My papa used to say, because I'd get up singing all the time, and he goes, "I hope you sing every day, honey."
You do now. You do now
because it's really good for your soul. But I didn't know that. I was just always, because we used to live there when we were really young too, and I had a swing set. And I'd be out by myself on the swing set, just singing songs, Catholic, because we had the Catholic church, we used to have to go to catechism and stuff like that. And I'd be singing all by myself. My member would watch me, right? I'd be sitting on the stairs, just playing by myself. And my sister came home one day. And she I have no friend. My friends. And my member would say, "Why'd you play with your sister?" She didn't have my friend. I don't want to play with her. So those are the little things you remember. That little thing. But I just remember being myself all the time, just all content by myself. My mom. Of course, I used to play the God I Told You, and I didn't even know it was God. I didn't even know it was, until later on. I'm like, who was I talking to? I thought it was one day. Oh my God, it was God. I used to just talk to him all the time.
That's amazing.
It was funny. So anyway, that's a little bit. So I just went into and that's the part I like about Albert, is he doesn't let any of he just kind of gets his own little world, and I was content by myself and just singing, whatever, I liked my little time.
It's amazing to be able to know that type of love, or to allow that love to come into you. I think it's
recognize
incredible.
it too. Some people don't recognize the deep, because I had the contrast. My dad was so polarizing, and then she was just like swept it all. I just wanted to be with her. I would sometimes just sit by her feet and just while she was rocking, I just wanted to be near her, anywhere in the vicinity.
How long did you stay with her?
Well, that was when we were really young. We we lived next door.
Okay.
So we left when I was probably maybe 7 or 8. We moved out.
Oh,
and then when we got old, we ended up back there. I ended up living with her, because when I was like 15, 16, when my dad died, I was 15. Wow. And then my mom, it's a long story, but.
How did you reconcile your dad's treatment of you? How did you do that?
Well, I did go through 5 years of therapy, but it wasn't really. He was a part of it, but it was kind of mixed up with my husband at the time, and I kind of thought, I was a stupid kid, right? Oh, if I can change him and make him love me, my dad would have loved me. Well, that didn't work out well. Didn't work out well at all. But it ended up that I just kind of recognized that, all right, well, he was really young. My mom was really young. She was trying to get away from her dad, and he had babies all one after the other, and so they just struggling people, and he didn't know how to be a dad because I was so young. And so I just kind of forgave him, because he was just it just became too much for him, and he didn't know how to get out, but he loved and then didn't love. I don't know. So I just said, you know what, I forgive him, because what am I holding on for the anger for? Because it's not doing me any good. And it was what it was, and it was. I can't change the past, so just move on. Just kind of.
Yeah, and moving forward, it's not hard and it's not easy. It's just a thing to do. But when you look at the pain aspect of that, that's where it becomes more embedded into the recovery aspect of things. Like, how do I move it emotionally this way?
I just
that
didn't
way?
understand why he hated me so much.
Mhm.
Because to me, it felt like hate.
Mhm.
I don't know if that was it. It's just that I was in the way, and I kept he said, "You remind me of your mother," because she left him and
That's probably why.
and she would stand up to him, and I guess I was too. I remember one incident that I really did. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I literally, I think I already told you, I went and I stopped to his face, and he looked right at me, and he was shocked that I did that, and then I walked away. But I just made a stand. I'm like, I don't want this in my life anymore. Boom. And I did that with my ex too, because he ended up beating me. And not all the time. It was just a couple incidents, and I was like, no, that's it. I'm out of here. Then I gave him a divorce. He appealed my divorce twice. I don't think his family members understood. His mother and father were okay. His father took went on my side, but the other ones that they just took his side, thought I was being this mean, but they didn't walk in my shoes. I'm sure I could go on.
I don't know. What's that mean you?
Boy, we could talk so much, can't
we? We were always in a talking mood. Yeah, probably should wrap this up. But anyway.
Well, if anyone has any questions or suggestions of where we go with any of these,
talk about.
That's, I'll leave some links to some spiritual people and Jennifer, and then give us some suggestions of what you'd like to hear and stuff. I mean, we kind of went off a little subject. Doing a little reading for me. I was just joking about that. So
I don't know. They weren't.
Well, I'm like so. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Yes, and like I said, if you have anything to suggest, we would like to keep doing some podcasts, because
I think so.
We're hoping to just help even one person, maybe more, or
or find out what is happening with you on that spiritual growth or on your human self, and then they both have to interact together at the same time. Sometimes it can be a little tough. We're all going through multiple changes right at this time, because we are closing old chapters this year, and we are reconstructing what we want in life in the next year, because next year is the number one. It's a new beginning. So everybody's on the new beginning part, right? We're all like, yeah, we're looking forward to new things, but sometimes we need a community to do that in.
And so, like I said, I'm going to put the link to Jen's website, but there's a little bit of a technical issue right now. So please make sure you go back, or you can call her. You might want to.
Yeah, the number is 207-232-4780. If you want to send or do a text, I'm more apt to respond to a text.
Some people do readings over
the phone,
Zoom or something. Is that something you do too?
I do over the phone, Zoom, just however you're more comfortable with it. Some prefer to be here. I've had people travel 2 hours to come see me. They come from a different state.
Unfortunately, I'm right around the corner.
I can't take Hello. But again, it's up to you and how you want to get together. But I love doing these get together talking kind of thing. We can bring in more people to have readings if you want to do that. But let's see what you've got to say on this whole thing. And, by all means, hit like and share.
Leave your comments. That's what we're looking for. Hearts, where you want to go.
Whatever you want. Yeah, however you want to do it. I'm very new to this. She's no pro at this. So.
I am not an old pro. I just set this up. So
I'm kind of like, well, this is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, this year is supposed to be all about change. So don't worry about it. You're doing fine. And next year is all about starting new things. New friendships, new life, new whatever. If you want, you don't have to do anything. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it a lot. So take care.
Bye.